Thanks for being here. This is Truthseekers with your host, Stephen Campion. Please rate, like and comment on our videos or podcasts. If you are listening to an audio podcast, please rate us 5 stars to help us rise in the search rankings. If you are watching on YouTube, please like, comment and subscribe to our channel. If you're listening to an audio podcast, we love and appreciate you listeners, but you are missing the live tapings. All our shows are recorded live with video feed. We'd love you to come be a part of our live broadcasts and tapings for the podcast. Head on over to YouTube, click the search tool, the little magnifying glass, put Truthseekers, one word in the search bar, and hit enter. You'll see a strange and mysterious guy with sunglasses. That means you found the channel. Go there, smash the subscribe button and hit the notification bell to receive up-to-date info on our YouTube channel. We welcome you to be a part of our live taping and our chat group during the live broadcasts. Seek the truth. Speak the truth. This is Truthseekers. Truthseekers.
No gray is gray in color. Even drone-engineered grays like this 4-fingered hand in this photo are pale in color, similar to human skin. And notice the long, dark fingernails of this being. Linda, in your book, An Alien Harvest, on page 59, you quote abductee Judy Doherty describing 2 gray entities that were dissecting tissue from a mutilated calf taken from a pasture outside Houston, Texas in May of 1973. Quote, Judy wrote, "Their hands look funny. They have long claw nails, almost like an animal's dark nails. The original tall grays used this same nanotechnology for similar reasons, but seldom use it while in space traveling, nor did they use it while evolving in their home system of Epsilon Indi due to lower gravity there. The original grays from Epsilon Indi have a very slight tint of orange in their pigmentation.
Personally, I think this is a strengthening education about what all has happened around this, what was just going to be the first photo of a orange-gray hand and a head. The head is still a question mark, even in Earthfile Support's mind. He's very analytical and very critical, and he did a side-by-side comparison in which it is very true that the eye pattern in the, we'll call it the alleged real photo, versus the 3D created head, the eyes do not match. And you can do an examination and make a comparison and you will see that. But that does not mean that there isn't a real extraterrestrial, sort of orangish gray being or civilization or species that looks exactly like that photo. And as Buddy pointed out, that's counter-intel.
This question is a tough question. You look like a tough lady with your leather jacket. So this one comes from Steve Cambian from Truthseekers. On your website, there's a picture of a genuine alien taken to the moon, and the image that you used was from a 2005 video game called Area 51. Cambian, so Steve Cambian is referring to himself in the third person. Cambian from Truthseekers emailed you as the proof that what you're selling was from a video game, and and then you refuse to change. So whatever. There's some accusations there. Do you mind explaining to the audience what that picture is about, its provenance, and perhaps why you would not take it down if someone showed you it was video game art?
What are you talking about?
Okay, I can show the image. I don't have it printed here, but I can show the audience the image at some point. So you don't know what is being referred to here with the video game cover art of Area 51 and that being used as a genuine image on your website, apparently.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Kurt, I don't know why you are reducing the interview to this kind of petty stuff at the end. I really don't. I have been working as a professional journalist since 1968. I started at KNBC television. I went to ABC in Boston. I was hired to be director of special projects at the CBS station in Denver. I have corrected 1 million scripts. I have no idea, 40, 50 years, how many scripts. Information. That is just elementary to being a professional journalist. And I have a tremendous number of awards that are even in boxes, 35, 40 professional awards as a journalist. Why you would end up with some kind of a stupid question like this is beyond me. It's hostile, Kurt. Why would you do this? It's meaningless. I mean, why are you playing, now we're going to trap Linda in some... This is ridiculous.
I'm asking some of the most upvoted questions. So there's the sentiment in the community that you're a great investigative reporter, especially your early work, and that toward the end of the career, perhaps not as much due diligence in vetting sources. This is just a perception. So that's why people are upvoting it.
By whom? That's not my relationship with the world.
I'm just telling you, this is what many people have upvoted, so I'm asking the questions that people are interested in knowing the answer to.
You're accusing me of being some gullible 2-year-old, and I have just celebrated my 80th revolution around the sun. I have produced literally a few thousand reports at earthfiles.com, many, many, many documentaries for television broadcast. There is something about this, Kurt, that just feels so unprofessional, so unfair. I am doing hard investigation every day and every week of my life on a variety of topics.
I ask even Luis Elizondo, I ask many people similar questions about NDAs and is this piece of evidence proof? Is it proof? Do you have a public record of so-and-so? It's not as if this is such a strange question.
You just said it's because you have a reputation essentially of being gullible. I argue with that from the face of how much I have produced. That is between my books, my documentaries, the 3,000 Earth Files reports, and on, the 15 years of the work I've done with ancient aliens. It's the opposite. I'm come to all the time because people say you do the best, most credible journalism in the field. That's what I hear.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that you hear that. It's great. It's great to hear that. I hope I'm not trying to be accusatory. I'm simply trying to ask the questions that many people are wondering, and that for whatever reason other people aren't asking. So please, I don't mean to offend you.
Many people are asking what?
Okay, so I'm just... Every time I read you a question, it's either taken from Twitter or the live chat or from Reddit or from some other places where there are likes and upvotes and people's comments on comments. And so I'm looking at, okay, what are the questions that people want to know the answer to most? And I'm simply asking them. Is that not fair?
Nothing about the last 20 minutes have been fair.
Well, all right. Okay. Well, we'll just end this, and I apologize that you felt like it was hostile. That was not my intent.
It has this out. I'm a professional producer, writer, director, editor. I have a tremendous number of awards. From my point of view, I know how hard I work for facts, and that I take on subjects that some people won't touch because they're afraid. That's my answer.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back. So many people sent me Linda Moulton Howe's latest video, which is sort of a laugh riot of werewolf stories, that I thought we should go over some of that. But before we begin, I just want to make some general comments. There exists this fallacy that these so-called reporters are some kind of, on some kind of search for the truth. And I beg to differ. They're on a search for a story that's sensational that they can sell. And that's about as much checking as they do into it. I believe that you can and should investigate strange and unusual stories, but you should do it with a skeptical slant. Somebody telling you a story about shooting a werewolf is not proof. And that really is the basis of the problem with this whole conspiracy land profiteering network. And by the way, I just got told on Twitter not a few moments ago from a guy with a lab full of shit that doesn't work that I'm grifting off of skepticism. So there's that. Yeah. There's no money in being skeptical. See, that's the issue. That's the problem. That's why most people, if they want to make money, just stay away from skeptical questions, hard questions, demanding evidence, scientific investigation of strange and unusual claims being made by often strange and unusual people. So, some of these people selling these stories, they actively push that like they're looking for the truth. No, if they were looking for the truth, they would look for actual evidence. They wouldn't just accept anything that people tell them. And by the way, I've gotten so much criticism for being harsh on this lady because she's old. And I don't think being old gives you a license to sell people garbage. That's my personal opinion. And at some point, it does rise to a level, I believe, of the level of fraud. Linda Moulton Howe, we have caught her twice now. Remember, we occasionally cover most of her ridiculous stories, but That would be a full-time job in and of itself. Occasionally, we dip in there and see what she's selling. And twice now, we have caught Linda Moulton Howe selling a completely and totally fake story. And we proved that. In one case, she was selling a video game cover, a picture of an alien on a video game cover from 2005 called Area 51. She was selling that behind her paywall even as a genuine gray alien picture taken on the moon. Or should I say, quote, genuine gray alien picture taken on the moon, unquote. There's no excuse in a world where you can do a reverse Google image search in 5 seconds for. She spent hours and hours and hours telling stories about this picture and the secret space astronaut who gave it to her. And all these stories came from a picture that was actually from a 2005 video game cover. We proved that. We even reached out to the person who was the artist. And then in the second instance, it became harder because in the second instance, and that's what you saw in the beginning clip here, she took pictures from a Brazilian artist from a website, or somebody took pictures and sent it to her and said, hey, this is a picture of an orange gray alien. And there's all kinds of mythology around these pictures. This is what they look like when you take the gray exoskeleton off of them. They're pink. Wow, exclusive story. First ever picture of an orange gray alien. It's just so ridiculous. So we tracked the original artist down who created those digital fake pictures of aliens. And by the way, he did use base photos that came from an actual autopsy. So there was some controversy about that. But the pictures were, in that second case, which we showed you in the beginning of tonight's broadcast, were completely and totally 100% digitally created fake pictures of an alien. She sold them as true pictures of an alien. Then when she got caught, she brought in a remote viewer somehow to pretend that he was remote viewing the death of the alien, and to provide some excuses. See, the Men in Black paid that artist off to pretend that he created those pictures, right? Those Men in Black, they're always coming in and muddying the waters when people have good evidence. No, I don't believe that. I spoke to the artist myself. In fact, we had to get a translator because he felt much more comfortable speaking in Portuguese than English. We interviewed him. We got the full story of where those pictures came from, how he created them, and how they were completely and totally fake pictures. To this day, to the best of my knowledge, she still will not recognize or admit that those pictures were fake. Did you hear her? She's making excuses. Oh, no, my tech guy said the eyes are different. The eyes are different on the fake photos. Come on. And so I got a lot of, people send me hate mail. Why? Leave that old lady alone. Listen, if your grandmother was on the internet scamming people, you might say, hey, grandma, stop selling people fake nonsense. Don't do that for money, get a real job or something. Or would you just let your grandmom scam people with fake pictures of aliens? And remember, in the first case, she was encouraging people to sign up and get behind her paywall to hear more. That, to me, is a form of fraud. Absolutely. So we're going to get into her latest broadcast this evening because so many of you sent it to me. And boy, and by the way, just want to make sure that I make one thing clear. I think it's perfectly acceptable. There's a lot of dogman sightings around the world. What the hell is that about? It's perfectly acceptable to investigate these things. But to essentially co-sign that these stories are true with zero actual evidence, just a guy, she found a guy telling a story. I don't want to ruin it for you, so we're gonna keep the story. We'll show you. I think it's pretty incredible. One second. Well, apparently Linda Moulton Howe, like many people, is using copyrighted music. I think many of these people do this in an attempt to stop people like me from doing commentary over them. Luckily, it's only a few minutes. I'll have to make a mental note, and we will not go over that. We will begin tonight by simply saying, look, I'm fine with people investigating strange and unusual stories. I do it myself. The problem that I really have is when people are just like, oh, we got a guy that's saying this, let's run with the story. And then, of course, she's got other people telling her vampire and werewolf stories in the live chat while she's doing this. And remember, she claims to be an award-winning journalist. I don't know any other award-winning journalist that would just take a crazy story and run to the internet to make money with it. But it is what it is. And this is where we find ourselves. So her video is titled, "Why Would a Huge Wolfman Be a Government Asset in Michigan?" I don't want to ruin the story for you, but it's not just, let me fix that. It's not just that she's claiming that somebody shot a werewolf. There's more to the story, and these are government assets. Listen, werewolves are working for the United States government. Don't question it. It's just, this is the way it is. There's werewolves working for the United States government somehow. Okay, if you say so. I am unconvinced, but we're going to get into it. But before we do, we want to make sure that we take a moment to welcome the live chat. And thank you for your attendance, whether you're chatting in the Rumble chat, the Twitch chat, the YouTube chat, or the Facebook or Twitter live feeds, or pill.net. Welcome one and all. So I suppose we have covered multiple fake stories that Linda Moulton Howe has pushed, and we'll continue to do that. I think it's important, to try to educate people about how this stuff works, right? You think this person is, oh, she's out for the truth. No, she's out for a paycheck. That's the way it's always been, and that's the way it will remain, if you ask me. But let's get into it, friends. Lots to cover. Apparently, according to Linda Moulton Howe, the United States government has werewolves in their employment right now as government assets.
Hi, everyone here and around the world. Not only have we broken through 250,000 subscriptions at Earth Files, we're also receiving emails and messages and handwritten letters from many countries.
She just said she has 250,000 subscriptions on Earth Files. What is it, $5 a month? Is she making, wait a minute, I got to back that up. Did she say she's got 500,000 subscribers on her website? That's $5 a month. I think it's $5 a month.
Have we broken through 250,000 subscriptions at Earth Files? We're all.
Is that 250,000 in total? Like, I don't think she has 250,000 at one time, because if she did, that'd be like, last I checked, her website was $3 or $5 a month. That would be like mean she's making $750,000 a month selling this nonsense. God bless her.
Also receiving emails and messages and handwritten letters from many countries around the world. And I thank you all so much. After last week's October 25th, 2023 Earth Files YouTube broadcast with video producer Paul Sinclair about his new documentary, Wolflands, I have received many comments, messages, and emails about your own encounters with dogmen, wolfmen,
dogmen, wolfmen.
The strangest report of all comes from a professional truck driver in Michigan who had his 64th birthday this past Sunday, October 29th.
Teleprompters.
His name is Joe Barger, and his dramatic encounter
Needs
with a
more money for
massive
plastic
black-haired wolfman dogman was 6 years ago in early June of 2017. While Joe was driving his large semi-truck on Route 10 toward Baldwin, Michigan, about 75 miles northwest of Grand Rapids, not far from Lake Michigan, and in the center of the Manistee National Forest.
Yeah, and this is where it gets
in a recent
stupid.
interview,
Because this guy claims that he's going to claim that he saw and he encountered a 10-foot tall werewolf creature. And he's right in the middle of a national forest. Could it have been an animal? Maybe. But a 10-foot tall animal? It's the werewolf CIA story. Shut up! You're ruining it! Spoilers, UFO Shane. Yes, she's going to say that the werewolves are CIA assets. And by the way, there's also an underground base full of werewolves in this Manistee National Forest. Why would there be an underground base full of werewolves? I don't know. I didn't sell the story. She did. Maybe we'll find out.
Barger told me, quote, "The werewolf dogman was 10.5 feet tall and no less than 1,000 pounds. It had enormous hands, not paws, as big as the semi-truck steering wheel. And while it ran next to my large semi-truck, it kept putting its hand in and out of the passenger window," close quote. Here now.
You're like, there's a giant werewolf and he's put his hand in my window. Wouldn't you just roll your window up, dude? Like, what? I don't get it.
From Kentwood, Michigan, a suburb of Grand Rapids near Lake Michigan, is professional truck driver Joe Barger talking to me this week about his shocking encounter in 2017 with a dogman, also known as a wolfman or werewolf, followed later on by U.S. intelligence agents threatening Joe to not talk about his encounter with a U.S. intelligence, quote, asset,
An asset.
close quote.
Uh-oh.
When this incident happened, I was
asset.
driving my semi. It was 2017, the first week of June. I know the exact spot where Baldwin, Michigan is. It's probably 10 miles northwest as the crow flies from Baldwin, Michigan. And I was on Highway 10 in the Manistee National Forest. I am picking up a load at a paper mill that's up near Traverse City, which is way up north in the Lower Peninsula. I've been there several times, and I picked up about 43,000 pounds of huge paper rolls. They're just real big, size of like small cars. I was pulling those.
Big paper rolls.
I had a lot of weight on, and I was noticing that I was starting to lose air in my system, in my truck. And that's not a good thing if you know how air brakes work. If you start losing too much air, your brakes will lock up and you'll come to a complete stop on your trailer, especially. And that's where I was losing it, my trailer. And
he was losing it.
I didn't want to be carrying that heavy of a load and having low air pressure. So I pulled over to, it's kind of like a snowplow turnaround. It was wide enough to pull off.
This doesn't make any sense. You're right, Andy.
To hold the weight and everything off the side of the road, kind of in the gravel, 53-foot trailer. So I'm kind of way back there where that air leak was. And I grabbed my tools and I was under there working on it and repairing it. And I was getting the weirdest feeling, and I was looking around in the woods. I'm close to the woods. I'm probably 15 feet from the wood line, 20 feet at the most. It was 7:30 to 8 o'clock in the evening. It's still a daylight. They don't get dark till like almost 10 o'clock.
Yeah,
you
could
know?
be.
Lots of daylight. And I see these shadows in the wood line back in a little ways. It's dark, like a blackness. And then moving around because I heard some things. The atmosphere felt weird. It was real odd. It was almost like an echo chamber. It was just the strangest feeling. Unnatural sounds. It's weird. I'm really feeling real uneasy. And I got it fixed. It was a quick repair, not even 5 minutes. And I start to go. and I'm at the bottom of a hill. I'm heavy and I got a lot on the truck, so it's going to take a while to get up that hill because I'm only going to be going 20 to 25 until I get to the top of it.
Yeah, this would work.
And it's
stupid.
pretty long.
He sees a huge werewolf at the tree line, and he's worried about how he's going to get up the hill. That doesn't make any sense.
Grade, and it's kind of steep. Well, as I'm sitting there looking in my left mirror to make sure there's no traffic, so hold out onto the road, get going, everything's fine, no cars around. I start getting up the hill, maybe I get 100 yards, and I look over to my right side. I just felt a darkness in my window out of the corner of my eye, and there is a wolf head in my window. My windows are down because it's warm, and I wanted to get the breeze in. I'm at about 20 to 25 miles an hour.
Wackadoo werewolf.
And wolf head.
Look at this.
Keeping
Look
up
at this
with me
excellent
like
artist illustration.
This wolf.
Jesus Christ! I got a 7-year-old that can draw better than that.
And he's
what the
looking down. He's
oh my God!
down.
That's the illustration that Linda's award-winning
He's
journalist.
Down. So he had to be 10 to 11 feet tall. Had to be. He's running next to me on 2 feet, looking down through the window at me, stooping down.
I don't think so.
And he's got his hands in front of him. And he's got hands, and they're huge. And his head is like taking up a semi-window, you know.
He looks cuddly.
And he's just right there next to my mirror.
Randy says he looks
and
cuddly.
And he is black. He sells black.
He felt a darkness.
His eyes are like a deep amber gold color. He looks like
I think somebody else made a documentary, but his story's in
either. He's got intelligence.
Well, that's a better looking
straight
one.
At me.
That's from the Dog Man phenomenon.
Darting around, looking at everything in my cab, like really fast. And he's reaching in. He reaches in and
Linda
pulls his
Moulton
hand
Howe.
away. As he did that a few times, his claws are about 3 inches long, looking like raccoon hands, but
Look at this! Look at this illustration.
This
looks like it was drawn by a child.
That's running right alongside of you in the cab, as if it's no problem, on 2 feet, and that he is reaching in with one of his arms at you, touching you.
Not touching me. He's on my passenger side. I'm in the driver's side.
This is great evidence.
There is no shoulder there, so he's running in the dirt. There's actually dirt and weeds and grass where he's running. And I didn't even really hear if there was any sound he was making with his feet in the ground. I wasn't really hearing it. He was really smooth, like silky smooth in his movements, almost like a cat.
So you're seeing him
through the passenger window.
It's running alongside at 25 miles an hour.
Like running alongside of my truck, right outside of the passenger door. And he stooped down. He's got shoulders and he's running, but his arms aren't moving like a man would, even though he's got a similar torso and hands. It's kind of like he's out there like a raptor running.
He got an animation of a raptor running here.
And I'm sitting at about 9 feet.
Yeah.
He was huge. He
Great
was massive.
evidence.
He was about 1,000 pounds, I would say.
And he was extending his left arm into the truck.
Yeah,
dogs
a little bit.
The hand was so big that it was as big as your steering wheel or bigger?
About the size of my steering wheel, yes. And his hand, he kind of cupped it and it came in. And then he pulled it back out. His nails would scrape on the top of my door. And he was also trying to pull my outside handle to open the door because there was scratches on that, on the door too.
While you're seeing his face, when you do see and you connect with his eyes, did you ever have any impressions, images, anything telepathic come from this being?
Well, the thing was, is this all happened really fast. And he looked to me like he was trying to send a message, like, I'm going to get you when there's nothing you can do about it. I don't know if it was telepathic, but that's the vibe I was getting, because his eyes were not animalistic like you would see in a normal wolf or dog or any animal. You know how they don't have an intelligence that a human would have behind their eyes like this did. This had intelligence, or as close to it as we are.
Mm-hmm.
The way it just was looking at me and conveying its intention.
Right.
And then I automatically thought, I have a 45 Colt revolver strapped to my seat. That's for my protection against people, you know.
Right.
So I did this without really even
CIA werewolves.
It was a snap decision, an automatic impulse. I pulled my gun and I pulled it fast.
Well, look at this. This is like a reenactment.
Exact second he
Here he
saw
is with his gun.
the barrel of that gun, and I shot twice, and he went down. He went down, and he went down like he got hit by a clothesline. Lights out. I hit him in the eye, and I had copper bullets that were
2-3 day binge while running several logbooks will cause these types of.
They open up like the broadhead, like an arrow. They open up that
Look at
wide.
these illustrations.
And did you slam the brake on to see, or what happened?
No, I was still trying to get up this hill, and I didn't know I was in another dimension. I was really freaking out. My ears were ringing. It was chaotic, but this truck was still going up the hill. And then I kind of got my composure a little bit. Okay, I'm not crazy. I don't hallucinate. Yeah, there's 2 bullets out of my gun. Make sure I'm not crazy. There is a place up the road, a little picnic.
No, he said he had copper
bullets. I can get this
which makes no sense.
Turned around.
Doesn't hurt
and
werewolves.
Back about a mile and a half from there. If that thing's still alive, I'm going to run it over with this truck. That's what was going on through my mind. Can't let that thing live. It's a killing machine, whatever that is. It's a werewolf. I get back down there. It should still be there. When I hit it, I saw it in my mirror, and I saw it was sliding in the weeds, knocking down the weeds. And as it was sliding through the weeds, going off and picking up dirt and everything, I could see it had its tail, long bushy tail. It had the legs like a normal wolf would, and they were huge. It looked like the size of a quarter horse. It was just so massive.
You're describing an all-black wolf that is on 2 legs with intelligence reaching into your cab, and you even have the impression that it is thinking it's going to come in and take you down.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So as I came back around, if he's not dead, I'm going to run him over. I get back down the hill, and he wasn't there. But what was there was a Jeep.
A Jeep.
Yeah, great illustration.
Yeah, the black Jeep was there.
From where?
I don't know. There was 2 people there, man and a woman.
A 7-year-old drawing better werewolf.
Giant werewolf. I didn't want to say that, you know.
Didn't you say, I just shot a huge wolf here? How are you here in a Jeep and the wolf is gone?
What is this, Twilight Zone? I don't know what's happening.
Exactly, guys.
I don't know where this thing run off to.
Do you think they were military or CIA or something like that?
Come to find out later that this was maybe a year after my encounter. I get pulled into a scale house in Indiana, and the state police are holding me there for federal authorities for some reason.
Okay, Pauline Michigan's memoir. Yeah, imagine being a cop.
This guy showed up and started intimidating me. This is how things are going to work.
You got killed. I never do the same.
About these dogmen. You're not going to do that anymore. This is how it's going to go down. And if you don't believe us, we can do things to show you. And they said, you know what's about. You killed our asset.
This man who was acting like military government said to you, you just killed one of our assets?
Yeah, he said you killed our asset.
Did you say, why is this an asset to you?
Well, I tried to ask that, but they kept shutting me down about it. And I said, well, what do you need it for? And they were just irate about it. They said, you just don't know how much trouble you caused us. They did mention it's a homeland security matter. That's all we're saying. That's all you get.
How could a 9-foot-tall black wolf man be a homeland security asset?
They took my gun too. They said you can make you fail a drug test. We can do all kinds of stuff. We can really wreck your life. And they did do some stuff. They shut my bank account down for a minute just to show they could do something.
And this was 2017.
Yeah.
And in 2017, like today, why is the government of the United States playing hardball on what is apparently a real truth. We're not alone in this universe. There are other intelligences, and some of them are based inside of our planet and have been for probably millions of years.
Yeah, shooting people is illegal.
And
but
how
not
can it be
at
an
all.
asset,
Like,
this creature?
Well, we're speculating on it, but we've heard of stories at the border
I agree.
where they use these things.
Look at these
to take care of
illustrations. I can't
people
get over
coming
these
over the border.
illustrations.
I don't
So
know if they're true.
professional.
There's no way a human could run 25 miles an hour with dog
Linda
legs.
will sell this
Up a
as an
hill.
actual photo
No
of the
way.
wolfman.
I could
Yes,
see
get
the
behind the
muscles going. I
paywall.
could see the tongue was like as big as a cow's tongue.
I agree, Amy.
The saliva was dripping. And long canine teeth, like top and bottom. A lot of jagged teeth there. You could see the flesh in the mouth. You could see the
Yeah, she
glistening
didn't
in
even
the
ask if
eyes.
it was a full moon.
Nothing
I
about
don't
it
think that's
looked like
relevant.
it was
I don't
not
think
a
that's
real
relevant.
creature.
And look at
And if
these
it is
quality
part of the
evidence.
extraterrestrial
Yes.
presence on planet Earth and has been here for a long time, based underground and coming up to do a variety of confusing and mysterious things that people have seen through the centuries, why in 2023 going forward can't the entire human population be told the truth that our governments and
Rain
military
says this is a
seem
pretty
to
compelling
know?
story. Yes.
Why can't we as a civilization be told the truth?
I think they want to control everything.
They want to control everything.
Yesterday, Joe and his partner Jenny sent me a follow-up to share in tonight's Earth Files. Quote, I, Joe, reached out to an old Army friend who I had stayed in touch with over the years and was now with an intelligence agency. And he confirmed for me that they have a, quote, dog man project.
There's a Dogman
But it was
CIA
not
project.
the one he, my Army friend, ran. I still don't know what type of project he runs, but he said that he would look into it, and after that, things cooled down. And as far as I know, I was left alone. And then, fast forward 4 years to August of 2022, after I attended the PRT Dogman conference in Paris, Tennessee. I was interviewed by a few researchers for YouTube channels about my encounter. And then 2 weeks later, the Ruger gun the agents took from me at the truck weigh station was put back in the bed of my pickup without my knowledge. Again, no paperwork. I took that as a clear message to shut up. Nothing else has happened, though, to date. But that Labor Day of 2022, Jenny and I went to Kentucky to get together with several people in this community of dog man, wolf man, werewolf researchers.
Yes, she should have answered.
One man, Martin Groves, a sheriff who retired after 30 years, has had his own incredible experience and also harassment from these guys. And he was even run off the road while trailering a camper. Sheriff Groves and his wife Sheila sustained minor injuries. And shortly after that, the feds came to his house, intimidating him to shut up and mention things that we had only talked about in the living room of Martin Groves.
This is so stupid. Like, really? Could you imagine if you got that assignment as a CIA guy? Like, listen, we're going to need you to go to this trucker's house and shut him up. He's telling everybody about the wolfman that he shot and killed. Okay. Yeah, if you say so, Linda.
Since that time, nothing else has happened. But with the release of Josh Turner's book featuring my encounter, and likely this Earth Files interview, the story may not be over. Yeah, and I guess we will see.
Yeah. Dog murdering grifter, a cow murderer.
One thing that I thought about in doing this work with Joe Barger is that I think that our American government has been developing assets among non-human intelligences interacting with Earth since at least Project Sigma, that was a part of Project Gleam and Project Aquarius, going all the way back to Project
I got
Sigma
documents. They're
was
fake
originally
documents. I got
established
'em.
as part of Project Gleam in 1954. It became a separate project in 1976, and its mission
Rick Simpson
was
oil,
then,
yes.
and I think still ongoing, no matter what its name is today, is to establish communications with aliens, non-humans. And this project, in a document that I have, a Project Aquarius document, met with positive success when in
Fake
1959,
top secret
the
documents.
United States established
I believe.
what they called primitive communications with aliens without specifying which ones. Let's assume that in the beginning it may have been grays, Nordics, maybe even tall whites.
Views.
On April 25th, 1964, a U.S. Air Force intelligence officer met two aliens at a prearranged location in the desert of New Mexico.
Like it's just
The contact lasted for approximately 3 hours. And based on the aliens' language given to us by an extraterrestrial biological entity, the United States Air Force officer managed to exchange basic information with the two aliens.
That is ridiculous. How do you communicate?
This project
with aliens
is continuing at an Air Force base in New Mexico, operated by MJ-12 and the National Security Agency, also known.
This one's pretty low. Somebody's asked how much money she made off of this crap. She only got 28,000 views on this one. I guess she has the same situation that I do. If she covers things other than aliens, she doesn't get as many views. So 28,000 monetized views, $10 per thousand. She made about $300. Really low end for Linda, you know?
Known as the NSA, close quote. I think Project Sigma is where communication efforts began historically long ago.
Yeah.
It could also have evolved to include trying to interface with many different alien-related life forms, such as even Sasquatch and Wolfmen. And that is perhaps...
I was going to say, what does any of this shit have to do? What do the aliens have to do with the Wolfman and the Dogman? But now she's saying that the government has a secret program to communicate with aliens, werewolves, and Bigfoots. Or Sasquatches. I never know how to say multiple Bigfoot. Is it big feet? I don't think so. Bigfoots? That doesn't sound right. I say Sasquatches.
How a huge creature like the one Joe saw and shot could have been or are to this day interacting with humans as, quote, assets, close quote, in top secret programs. I welcome hearing from those of you who have been in medicine, military, and intelligence, who have firsthand knowledge that might add insights about the use of the word asset to a wolfman, dogman. And Ian, I wonder if we've had any comments tonight from viewers who might have more information.
Yeah, and that's great. Like, hey, viewers, did you see a Wolfman too? Tell us about it. I love it. Oh, this is so ridiculous.
Yes, we do. In fact, we've got Kingsway 13 in the chat tonight. Kingsway 13 says, my buddy has a very similar story from California, eerily similar to this guy's. Like this gentleman is saying, it was about 10 feet in height and very fast and strong. My buddy has a mechanic shop in a hangar near Marita, California. The feds came there also and told him not to speak on it.
I sure would like, if you could, email me right now, earthfiles@earthfiles.com with contact information. I never give out any contact information, but it would speed things up.
Yeah.
If you would email me at earthfiles@earthfiles.com how to contact you. I really appreciate this. Ian, thank you. Go ahead.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I've followed this for some years now. This topic, Monica Marinda.
I know, you hear her slurping?
I've been following this for a long time. Podcasts, too many people have reported seeing them. I think I must calculate that I've listened to, must be close on 700 or 800 eyewitness accounts that people have spoken about, including many attacks on vehicles. And it makes me wonder as well if this asset, which was closely followed by perhaps handlers or members of some government black budget organization, whether Joe was actually a target for it or whether this creature had gone rogue.
Uh-oh. It was a rogue CIA telepathic. Wait, it was a rogue CIA super soldier Wolfman. That's what happened. That makes more sense. Yes.
Well, that is an interesting question. There is something, though, about this background that I've mentioned about Sigma and Gleam, and the fact that if you think back about coming out of World War II, beginning to learn that there are the Greys and the Nordics and others that are here, and that in at least the last 2,000 years of Earth literature, as I have talked about in previous program about the whole issue of dog type, wolf type beings, that if it goes back and has been reported by Herodotus in Greece and even Earth.
This is called mythology. There is mythological creatures. It doesn't mean that they're real, and it doesn't mean they're CIA assets. You see, we have to connect a lot of dots here to make this whole nonsense story work.
Earlier, then this is a phenomena of a life form that has been on this earth for a very long time.
Well, that's gross.
And how does it happen? It's because they're based underground. And once you start exploring how everything could be underground, that is quote unquote extraterrestrial, well, we're the surface life. And we are the ones that get manipulated on the surface, and also where there is interaction, harvest of collection of sperm and eggs and tissues in animal mutilations and human abductions.
Oh, and I forgot here.
The bot.
I'm getting behind here, so I apologize. Look at that. Kind and generous people. And I apologize. For those unaware, we read and thank every single person that sends a super chat. And we thank anybody that sends a PayPal pledge as well. We also thank you live on air if you become a YouTube channel member while we're broadcasting live. I get a little notice and we give you a big shout out and a thank you. So thanks for the super chats. Chris Demaris with a kind and generous $9.99 says, I know you work hard. Keep it coming. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support, and for appreciating me. I appreciate you, Chris. And Deb from SAC, thanks for being a member as well with a kind and generous $5 super chat. Says, great opening, Stephen. Oh, and I should mention that edit of her answering my one question was by Spooky. So special thanks to Spooky. I forgot to mention that. I want to make sure we recognize that. Truck drivers don't lie. Wink, wink. Zizix, and thanks for being a member, and thanks for buying all those memberships, and thanks for the kind and generous $2 super chat. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. Is much, much appreciated. And another one from Zizix. Thanks for being a member, and thanks for the $5 super chat. Says, how much you want to bet that she'll fail a reporter hire test? Yeah, like, I just don't get it. And, you know, this woman is very, very well educated. We should recognize and understand that she went to college for this shit. And she doesn't know how to, like, vet sources. She doesn't know how to do any of this stuff. But, hey, if she's praising the cash to the tune of $300, by the way, I didn't count her super chats. She probably got $500 in super chats during this werewolf fest as well. But, you know, we still get to praise the cash. So thanks to all of you for helping us praise the cash.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
All right, we're going to continue, but I don't know how much more this is. We're not even halfway through. I don't think we're going to make it
bigger, and the lens gets clearer the more we go
dumber, the longer she goes.
The real details that have been behind projects such as Sigma under Gleam. The goal was to contact and collaborate or find out more about non-humans. So the idea that so many decades later, that there might even be a
She's
program
for her age.
to
She
use
is
the
fine.
very specific intelligence of one of the wolfmen, dogmen that have been part of
You not know
Earth's
that Sandy
history
Smith says
underground for so long.
increased eye blinking is a sign of deception.
I can see how it might have come
Language
about,
experts.
and it would be very helpful to hear from anybody who has firsthand information.
Yeah, she knows how to vet. She just doesn't do it. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, Linda, we've also got Brian Morgan is in the chat this evening. Brian Morgan tells us a fascinating tale that his mother and I both saw a wolfman-like creature the night my grandpa passed away in his home.
So now they're just taking werewolf stories from the live chat without vetting anything. It's
We
awesome.
stayed the night there because we'd been there all day with him. Now, he goes on to give us more details. Says, that evening around midnight, I started hearing a growling-like sound that seemed to be coming from down the road. It was growling so loud, it shook the wall. I jumped when I saw it and touched the wall next to me and felt it vibrating. It leaned closer,
You have
inches
Catwoman.
from my face, and let out this ungodly
There's a
roar.
bonus werewolf
It says,
story that comes in.
2 a.m. It was getting louder and sounded like it was outside the window. I looked and there was nothing there. 3
Hey
a.m.
man,
I woke
you know
up
what? We're
next to
missing
my
a good.
bed.
We're missing a good income source. Listen, all you people in the live chat, everybody better come up with a werewolf story, okay? People are tuning in for werewolf. Linda Moulton Howe's got all these people in her live chat that saw werewolves. I've got one person. Come on, you slackers, come up with some werewolf story. I need some money. Like, she's got help.
Leaning over me. And he says, we have pictures showing massive prints in the snow that started in the middle of the backyard and went up to both my window and my mum's window, then onto the roof.
Mexican.
and it's a combination, Ian, of the physical, that there are tracks outside, and yet what happens in human lives with these beings can be in some kind of, was it a dream? Was there really something in there? Was there a projection from a physical being on the outside mentally into the human on the inside that then sees images, but it's still not literal matter body of some kind of wolf man dog in the actual bedroom? And underscoring
delivery driving right now. By the way, thanks for taking me with you to work, Kimmy77. Kimmy says, I'm delivery driving right now and I've left my passenger side window down. Yeah, get that werewolf. Get some pictures though. We'll have a better werewolf story.
that is when I was getting Joe Barger's work done,
that's her illustrator.
Casey, who does transcripts for me, wrote a fascinating email, and it was about how at one point when he was younger, that he thought that he woke up and saw a hole open up in the roof in his bedroom and saw what he thought was like the descriptions of a wolf man come down. And
this is a teleporting. So far we've got CIA asset super soldier Wolfman. We've got the murder of a Wolfman, and now we've got a teleporting Wolfman.
Didn't understand how, but he's watching this. He thinks he's totally awake, and then he wakes up for real.
You must have missed it.
And the sun is shining.
Got so much
and
for it.
Everything about what happened during the night was so literal to him that he runs back to the bedroom and he's looking at the ceiling and trying to understand. He knew that something opened up. And that's where this twilight zone often is, between human experiences and what we see and the other intelligences that are interacting with us on different frequencies, different parts of the brain. And it is fascinating because this is a part of the whole huge millennia-long story of other intelligences interacting on Earth.
He was probed, says he.
That's right.
Thanks
These
for being
creatures, they are obviously physical in the physical, in our physical reality, but they also seem to possess.
She should have remote viewed the werewolf base where they keep the werewolf. I want to see where they keep the werewolves.
Going interdimensional, and this appearing next to bedsides as well. We were
Ganja
contacted
shadow
last
werewolf.
week by the Baltic
But
Project.
after he
to
got
help
it,
us
it turned into
with,
his neighbor's
one of the
dog.
Baltic states, I can't remember which one it was now. As a child, they would have an experience of the wolf creature being in their
She's
bedroom
stating everything is
at
facts.
night. And I've heard similar stories from the UK as well, which parallel this form of appearance of a wolf-like creature.
Where's Monkey? You guys are gross, dude. That is gross.
Right, and Ian, it is exactly like Joe Barger in the truck who's getting this strong signal from this. It's clearly in the matter world in terms of something that is perspiring and slurpy dripping, running right alongside the door. But Joe is getting a distinct feeling that this being is after him.
He sent one to Wolf
and wants to take him down. And that's where you get into, is it telepathy in a classic way or
telepathic werewolves? And here's the other thing, like if you really did have a werewolf like reach his hand or his head into your car, would you just shoot it in? You just shoot it? Like maybe he was just hungry. He was seeing if you had any Slim Jims or beef jerky. Why would you just go right to, I gotta shoot this thing, you know?
Just humans say they have intuition. Well, intuition could very well be the telepathy coming from that wolfman, and that some part of Joe's brain was picking it up.
That's right. Joe mentions that he felt uneasy, and he picked up on.
I was thinking you're going to feel uneasy if there's a giant.
One can only wonder what would happen if Joe wasn't armed and had that weapon next to him. If he hadn't been able to use that,
I hear that. We're going to cover Dogman, G7. We need the views.
Well, and wouldn't it be wonderful if we were understanding that we were actually could be in a universe where there was no necessity for killing anything, that all life forms had relationships mentally, spiritually, even physically, in terms of agape.
Yeah, if you're a trucker, get some doggy treats so you won't have to shoot a werewolf.
That nobody had to kill anything. That's the part that always bothers me. We are in a kind of treacherous time where we think about guns and all of that. And yet, what would happen maybe if there hadn't been the tension around, I've got to shoot this now.
We're going to cut it.
It's just the feeling if the government is learning how to collaborate, maybe eventually
the government is collaborating
wolfmen, dogmen, whatever they are, might be able to be introduced in a non-threatening way.
She did. She killed those cows with a garden shovel.
And I want to say that we're happy and proud to have Joe in the audience tonight, and he's actually
no one had to kill anything with a shovel.
This evening, he's answering questions from our audience, so we're happy to have Joe here.
Yeah, Joe, great. I'm so glad. I think it's one of the most fascinating stories involving this whole question of the wolf, the dog, the weir, in something that is human. It's human in shape and looks like a wolf or a dog. This is one of the most fascinating encounters and experiences that I personally have ever heard.
Wise Monkey says,
and what is the government's relationship to it?
That's gross. You guys are gross, man.
Right.
I don't hear any more.
They use the word
stuff
acid,
about
which
that. No,
Moonlight 75 says
that image burned in my brain now.
Whatever it was, an acid. So that's very,
this shirt is left over from her figure skating days.
Something that they obviously had knowledge about. They were aware of its existence, and obviously they made sure that things were covered up and acted in such a strange way. So there is something going on in this project that also we're familiar with in the UFO community, also extends into the cryptid community.
Now, have we gotten any comments from anyone who is implying that they have their own knowledge about a military intel operation that is collaborating with perhaps they're advanced beings? Because they look like a standing up wolf doesn't mean that they might not be extremely brilliant. I mean, are there really programs in which these kinds of beings are considered assets and are working in collaboration with the current inside Intel MJ12?
He's a serial cow killer, yeah.
Well, I'm happy to say that the experience of the...
I love how like MJ12 has never been proven to exist, but people just always talk about it as if it's completely and totally a factual organization that's real. You know, these were fake documents. That's where MJ12 came from. Fake documents.
The person I gave the details of earlier, Kingsway 13,
kills the cow and gets the hose again.
Contacting us and giving us further information about
this is the best encounter story she ever heard, she said. Yeah.
And how the Feds,
I hate to hear her worse. I agree, Amy Collins. This is pretty cringe.
Not to talk about it.
Well, let me share a story briefly that relates very much to this and would definitely be another case that implies there is collaboration between perhaps humans, or perhaps the eyewitness was seeing a blonde, blue-eyed human in collaboration with a Sasquatch and interpreted it as human, and it might have been ET.
So
putting that as, that's another possibility of the relationship. It was a ranch, a large ranch, between Colorado Springs and the area that would be south of Littleton in Denver. And they ended up contacting a man who was working for a lab in Denver. Dr. Leo Sprinkle at the University of Wyoming got involved in this case. And everyone in the family on this ranch saw these beings.
Yeah, so we're connecting all these disconnected stories, none of which have been proven to be true, to prove that the first story is true. It's a circle jerk.
The husband and wife, and there was a relative, and they were
all these people
cattle.
saw werewolves.
There had been mutilations in the general area, and
it's Nordic
the
time.
Father.
Yes.
There was also a child, and the father of that child was becoming impatient about that they were seeing lights. They knew that there had been mutilations. They don't understand why their ranch is targeted. They had a friend who had been staying over one night, and their living room had a big picture window. And the guest was looking out the big picture window and saw what looked like an 8 to 10 foot tall hairy, in the category of the Sasquatch Bigfoot, just step across the front yard as he watched through the window, almost as if it were performance. Okay, all of this was taking place. And the father, with the younger child, decides that he's going to take a gun and get in a car, and he's going to go where they suspect that there's some landing of some kind of craft. And this was directly to me from Dr. Sprinkle, who studied this. He said, the father has the gun, has the son.
You're just making this up.
Comes down to a part of the forest on the back lot of their big ranch where they think that lights have gone in and out. That's why they went there. And then suddenly stops in his tracks because he sees a silver disc. It has a rectangle open on the side, like where would be a door, but there was no visible door. The father and the son are there.
Exactly.
And they seem to be communicating with what they first were seeing, meaning the father and son are not where the disc is. They're approaching and they're staying hidden.
Fake story.
But they see what they thought at first was a human. And then they realize that there is something about what's going on between this blonde being and a large Sasquatch. And the Sasquatch is holding a black box. They estimated it was about 12 inches by 12
Thanks for being a
inches.
member.
And the being, or the hairy being, is like this with this black box, and they're red lights
And he said,
that the
"Dad,
father
Linda
and
Moulton
son
Howe,
can
she
see
has a
from the
shovel."
distance where they are somewhere back. And then they see the blonde being do something to the box.
Yeah, she killed
They
those
didn't
cows with a
understand
shovel.
what was happening at all.
We have witnesses.
And when something occurs, the lights change, the blinking,
Now
and
it's
the
UFOs. What
Sasquatch
a
dropped
madness.
to the ground.
Yeah, we got
Absolutely
Bigfoot.
dropped.
We got telepathic
And
CIA.
that scared them.
soldier werewolves.
And they retreated back to their ranch house. They still, to this day,
UFOs.
did not know what happened.
Alien spaceships. This
Well, it
great.
is possible that such
Totally bullshit, but
control,
it's a great
refined
story.
control over the Sasquatch, the Bigfoot, the Wolfman through the ages, it might be that it is technology, because Sasquatch and Bigfoot might be artificial intelligence advanced that is on this planet, has been for a very long time.
What? Wait,
That
you're
helped-
saying Bigfoot is an artificial intelligence? How does that? Why would an artificial intelligence take the form of a giant gorilla that walks on two legs?
Do work for the blonde beings, the tall whites,
Oh, because they work for the aliens. Bigfoot works for the aliens.
perhaps the grays. And that is reinforced by the 1976 case in Montana, Great Falls. It was written up by Keith Wolverton, the deputy in the Great Falls Sheriff's Office at that time.
She got cats like that.
He
real
got a
aggressive
report
cats.
from a rancher
Send her some
who
more
had gone
money. She needs some
deer
more
hunting,
pussy.
had a 30-06
Wants to buy some
rifle,
more pussy.
comes around a bend out in
Get her right out of the gutter.
like nobody lived out their land. But in front of him is what he estimated was 8 foot tall, hairy, glowing eyes. And the rancher brought up his gun and just shot, sort of like what Joe, when he was talking about his instinct, just suddenly shoot. So the rancher shoots at the 8 foot tall, reddish brown Sasquatch, and it disappeared in a flash of light. There have been many cases about the Sasquatch disappearing in flashes of light.
Now we got vanishing Bigfoots.
What is the relationship of the Sasquatch phenomena to the Wolfman, Dogman, Werewolf phenomena, which has been reported for over 1,000 years? What
They all
are
work
their
with tall
roles
whites.
in relationship
They always
to
got some tall whites.
the humanoid,
Yeah, and let's talk about that for a second.
non-human?
The whole myth of the tall whites came from Charles Hall, who lied and said that he was in the Air Force. We did FOIA requests. Charles Hall was never in the Air Force. So Charles Hall is the originator of the tall whites. She's building bull on top of bull on top of bull on top of bull. If the person who originated the whole story of the tall whites was a fraud, then that story is not true. And she's taking his tall whites and saying that like Bigfoot works for the tall whites. And now Bigfoot may be an AI also, UFO Shane, that works for the tall white aliens somehow. It's like, I don't understand how you build a lie on top of another proven lie, as if, you know, like 5 lies somehow make the story work better. I guess the more lies, the more it works.
Of the grays, of the reptilians, of the blondes, of the talls. It's fascinating. It really is. But these are, to me, evidence. What happened in Colorado Springs Ranch, what happened in Great Falls, the collapse of the Sasquatch in whatever this box was.
Yeah, she's ignoring the Yeti. They're going to be upset.
Disappearing in a flash of light in Montana. What are they really? Is it technology made to look like a creature, or is it a creature that has some artificial intelligence relationship with matter worlds in which it disappears in flashes of light?
She's old enough. She watched that episode
this
when
is
it
how
was first on
complex
TV.
all of this is.
Oh, it's very complicated.
It absolutely
yes.
is so complex, Linda. Many people talk about the intelligence that they feel from the encounters they have with Dogman. And I'm very proud to be able to say as well, tonight we have Josh Turner himself from Paranormal Roundtable, his own YouTube channel. He's in the chat tonight. Thanks for the super chat, Josh. It's great to have you along.
And Ian,
yes.
I showed the cover of his book. As I understand it, has come out in 2023, and
that's right.
So in this show tonight, there is the cover of the book, and if Josh, if he wants to give you some information that you can put up in the chat, how to get the book, but I imagine it's on Amazon, if I'm remembering.
Oh, Linda's helping fellow grifter grift. Nice.
It absolutely is.
I won't shout out my channel if I'm in the live chat. They just mute me.
The one, Werewolves and the Dogman Phenomenon by Josh Turner, published August 2023. It's definitely a good read. I'd recommend everyone to get it. It's got lots of good reviews on Amazon. He's also the author of The Bigfoot Phenomenon, and that as well is available from Amazon. And Josh Turner's YouTube channel. Josh, if you're there still, post the links to your channel.
Wow, I wish I could get
good.
Paranormal Roundtable. It's a great discussion.
This guy gave a super chat, and then they're going to let him pump his channel on there.
The times and the information for your channel, and let's post it here in the chat for everybody.
Yeah, it's fascinating. The whole big sort of headline, the collaboration between intel agencies of the United States and their efforts to develop assets in Bigfoot, Wolfman. I mean, it is. It's an amazing.
It's amazing.
Amazing.
It is amazing.
I guess you would say another branch of the long evolving other intelligence on this earth and all the mysteries.
Thank you, Zizek says, werewolves don't overcharge the government. Kind and generous $2 super chat. And thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. And for being a member. Thanks for helping us to praise the cash.
Praise the cash, praise the cash.
We're praising it.
Questions that go with it.
That's right. We've got Hans Driscoll says there's ancient paintings of dogmen in India. A Hindu deity is Hanuman.
Yeah, it's mythology.
There's paintings of Hanuman working with dogmen thousands of years ago. That again adds to the historical context of this. And we've also
Krista Mara says Linda told Sasquatch yet he doesn't believe. Yes.
Gives us a super chat this evening. Thank you very much for that. Says the story of Beowulf.
She says that a lot. It's fascinating.
Grendel, a forest monster who is possibly a Bigfoot, in my opinion. The story is from around
Bigfoot and Dogman. Makes sense if you drink as much wine
well,
as she
thank
does.
you. And I'm wondering if we have more questions in the audience tonight that I can try to deal.
Yeah, we'll go to the questions in a minute. If anyone's got questions, please post them in the chat this evening, and I'll relay them to Linda. Okay. I need to do the super chats this evening. We've got Terry D, Yin Yang Glow, Captain Kurt, who says it's a great topic tonight, Linda.
Great topic.
We've got
teleporting dogmen,
of love,
the murder of a wolfman, CIA asset wolfman.
Tomorrow, so
great topic.
Miss Anonymous a shout out for her birthday.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Well, at least she thanks people for the super chats. Unlike David
let me
Wilcox.
know he's not in the chat tonight. He's actually in Savannah, Georgia, I believe, watching Stevie Nicks in concert.
I think she did say Homo sapien, yes.
And Moonbird has been with the Earth Files YouTube channel in the audience right from the very beginning. And so we have this arc of having heard from Moonbird, and it continues to this day. And it's just wonderful to realize that he has sustained his presence in this Earth Files YouTube channel for, what is it now, 4 years?
Oh, well, yeah, it's at least 4 years. Linda, we've got a question here from Space Ghost. He says, question, is there evidence of the dog planet, the dog star, having advanced canines? That's, I suppose, a link to what they call the dog star, the Dogon tribe, etc. Can you comment on that?
Oh, geez.
What the Dogon tribe described in Mali,
this is
that ended up in Robert Temple's brilliant book, the Sirius mystery, were marine creatures. They are the ones that they drew with
looks like she should
the
have.
fish head coming up
It's an income
here and
source
the
that she missed
scales
somehow.
would be completely different. But it's the same
That's a good
bigger
question, though,
concept
Monkey. I don't know if
of
he
an
listens to that
interaction between humans and something that is definitely not human, is extraterrestrial, basically communicates it's extraterrestrial from another star system that was Sirius, the dog star. And so even though the dog star has the word dog,
send me all the money.
what the Mali tribe was communicating about in the Sirius mystery were beings that came out of the ocean that had scales, but they were not from Earth, was the bottom line. And that the tribe learned all of this information about the fact that Sirius had this small, dense, binary star that nobody in the Earth, no one in astronomy knew anything much about. The binary relationship.
This generalist statement, like, there were some ancient civilizations that knew a great deal about astronomy, charted star systems, charted planets. For her to just broad brush say, we didn't know about that. No, this is false equivocation.
Until after there had been this investigation and the Sirius mystery had been written. So that left this huge question pulsing in the air. How would a tribe in Mali, Africa, have information for decades going back, even before the 20th century, about this tiny, that you couldn't see with the eye, another planet that was next to the Sirius star? So that has always been fascinating. And Sirius,
it's almost like a roadmap. Like, okay, get a guy to tell a story and then bring in ancient civilizations. Now we're going to bring in, mythology from the Dogon tribe, which, by the way, is very interesting, but still, it doesn't make the guy telling a story about shooting a werewolf story true. It's like you got to pack all kinds of nonsense to make this work somehow.
Sirius has played a very important role in history, in Egypt and other places. So I think it's part of the hypothesis that advanced intelligences have been coming and going on this planet for at least 278 million years. They've all had different projects. That the Defense Intelligence Agency analyst who told me in December of 1999 that Earth was considered to be a great laboratory in which to mix and match genes and develop different lines of life.
God.
And so there could...
I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm losing brain cells by the minute here. Like, I feel like I'm getting dumber.
Be this very long history of extraterrestrials that we, as a created species, by extraterrestrial biological entities, manipulated DNA and already evolving primates to create Homo sapiens. We are one of the laboratory products. So the fact that there might be 5 or 10 major extraterrestrial civilizations that have used the Earth system,
5 or 10 major
for their own experimentation, for the development of life forms, is, to me, that is a hypothesis that I think eventually we will learn something of that nature.
I think you can, but
about
they
our
mute everybody. They don't
creation,
like anybody. They don't
so
like
much
question.
else life creation. And what exactly are the interests of other beings that have high civilizations in other solar systems, in part of the Milky Way galaxy and beyond? There are over 3 trillion galaxies in this universe.
Longer, but
the odds are that a bunch of advanced intelligences have been here before.
Yeah, Linda, I don't know if you can hear this, but I'm in a lot of heavy rainfall here. I hope it's not draining out too much of the sound, but the UK is experiencing another storm Caspian.
Well, there you go. This guy's having
I think it
technical
is.
problems
And
now.
we're experiencing some high winds and extreme weather.
Well,
But anyway,
Ian, the irony is you've never been clearer. You may be having a storm and it's working here very well.
Yeah, Linda, let's
You're
just remind
knocking in the
everybody that this
Nephilim,
show
yes.
goes out as a podcast as well. So wherever you get your podcast,
Download our crap. We need the money.
Chat and in the description below the video. So this show, as all the shows do, goes out.
Spouting nonsense.
None
None of this is factual. None of this makes sense. She's just spouting out garbage, says UFO Shane. The way she has been there before, cringed like it's all real.
Arizona.
Sedona.
It's the CIA
Sedona, Arizona
blocking
in
the
March,
signal.
and Conscious Life Expo in
Oh, it's gonna be
February.
a Conscious Life
And
Expo,
I
of
hope
course.
that a lot of our Earth Files viewers in those states and some who can travel will come, because maybe there is a sense, if we're on a planet as rocky politically as it feels like it is right now, that maybe there will be some outside help, and maybe we're going to have some more, I'm going to say, significant headlines about
Big things are coming. Does that sound familiar? Her and David Wilcock are always saying big
their
things.
life in this universe. I hope in this coming year. I hope it finally happens.
That's right. Okay, so we've got Eddie Cordovan Hypnowolf
She
says,
believes
"Hi,
anything.
Earth Files. I had an alien
Is she
abduction
actually
experience in
birthed or does she have
2018,
neurological
and I
issues?
recently
Yeah,
met
maybe a
with
little bit of
Barbara Lamb
both.
for regression. I'd love to speak to Linda about it. I've asked Eddie to contact us at earthfiles@earthfiles.com, and we want to make sure that everybody's got that email address properly. earthfiles@earthfiles.com to contact us with your own experiences. And Eddie says, "Thank you, Earthfiles. I will do. I'll see about getting an artist friend to draw up some pictures as well."
Yeah. And can he email me or you about which type he has interacted with?
That's right. It's always the question that we ask.
I'm
which
getting
type
dumber
do
and
you
dumber.
experience, or if possible, give us an illustration.
Imagine though, imagine how dumb her audience is, and however dumb you imagine her audience is, realize they're even dumber than that. And yes, I stole that from George Carlin.
What Doc's family says, how is werewolf part of Homeland Security? Going back to Joe's experience.
Yes,
Oh, gee,
it is the
question.
question of the evening, of the week, the month, the year. How is it that wolfmen could be assets for the National Security Agency, the Central Intelligence Agency, whoever would be in charge, the implication being one of those, and
pictures, yes.
Developing some sort of a relationship that would be strong enough that they would refer to this creature that Joe Barger shot in the eyes as an asset, and that they were really, really pissed off that he had shot it.
Yeah, you know how much a Dogman super soldier cost to make? Of course they were pissed off he shot it. You know how hard it is to get those DNAs mixed up with human DNA and gestate a human dog-man hybrid, human-dog hybrid, and then make it a super soldier, make it 10 foot tall, give it superpowers. It's expensive. Linda Moulton Howe is claiming that the werewolf that was shot was an asset from the Department of Homeland Security. Yeah. Department of Homeland Security has werewolves now.
Yeah, it's incredible. Konana Stinko says, Linda, do you know of Gilgamesh, DNA of the Giants?
The whole huge complex Gilgamesh story is it's like everything we're talking about and more is in pieces of it. And it, to me, it is a challenge. It is so dense. What really was the reality
Dumber and dumber.
around Gilgamesh at the
Now
time.
she's bringing in more mythology.
In other words,
the Epic of Gilgamesh.
are we seeing history that would be coming through the lens of angels and religion
Blink, blink, blink.
that might be today's extraterrestrials from other solar systems in this galaxy and other galaxies? You see what I mean?
Yes, it's
And
all
that
connected.
somewhere in the middle,
I don't know how
there
this shit
probably
is
is a
anyway
truth
connected, but according
that
to
is
Linda,
both hard-based
active.
fact as well as interpretive dreams and all of the things from
maybe she
centuries
brought
ago.
David Wilcock's
So it's
magical
hard
eBay
to
potion.
say, okay, this is a story about. That was more interpretive. And now we're at what feels to me like finally, for the first time, the moment when the Homo sapien experiment, a genetic experiment,
yes,
may
Harry
finally be
Lyons
on the
was
threshold of being
Wowzers.
actually introduced to the other intelligences that may have be the ones who
Everything is
genetically
real, yeah. I
put
don't
us
think she's ever
in
admitted to being
to
wrong or ever said something is
experimentation.
real. She lives in her own world.
Gilgamesh gives a
We're talking about this.
context
Alternate
for
realities.
all kinds of interactions going on with all kinds of strange things long ago. Where did they meet? That's sort of what we're asking here. Are you there? Did the rain swamp you?
No, I'm still here. We've got What the Fox family is in the audience tonight, and they're talking about an experience where they actually found some footprints. And I'm just going to go and looking for that. Here we are. We took some pictures of a bipedal animal, looked like a wolf, raccoon print. It was double the size of my husband's foot on the trail path. It was at least 5.7 foot.
Now we got a giant raccoon.
And where was this physically, Ian? Where?
I'm not sure. Give us some more details. What the Fox family? I know you're still in there, and I can see you're still in our chat. Give us some more details of what you actually
Gilgamesh,
saw.
you can't differentiate mythology from reality. You're right, Anna Louisa, and thanks for being
here. Well, Ian, there's another thing we could maybe start helping.
That's gross.
Is that getting plaster of Paris in tracks, if there really are large, unusual tracks, or even small, unusual, is to get plaster of Paris. Local high schools and colleges usually can help people with this. And then you have a mold, and the mold at least is evidentiary. And in between getting a mold done and finding large, unusual tracks is trying to call somebody in a zoology department in a local college or calling a high school and saying, can you come and help us?
Can you come and help us identify this dead dog man?
Scientifically investigate these tracks. And I've worked with people who have done that. And that's where we all need to be trying to bring to bear in everything that's happening. Always evidentiary and chain of custody.
Yeah, like listen to her. She gives a good. She has this good, fake like, oh, we're trying to get evidence and chain of custody and scientific. Come on, she doesn't do any of that. She doesn't do any of that.
Where was the first moment that somebody saw a track or found a mutilated animal, and then you keep a log of chain of custody as things occur. Probably. Maybe somebody comes in from a medical office, a veterinarian office, or a high school or college. If we were all trying to bring to bear more scientific method into analyzing tracks, something that might happen on the back of a car, the scratches that might come down that have happened and been reported, being able to maybe film or videotape in infrared something that if it were in normal light, you're not going to be able to see the details. If everybody, and tripods. Everybody needs tripods for their cell phone and their cameras, so we don't have the flutters. That it would really be something if we all started trying to think like scientists in how to best investigate all kinds of evidence.
This woman sold fake pictures of aliens as real pictures of aliens, but she wants everybody else to start thinking about how to investigate these things like a real scientist would. Come on,
I mean,
Linda.
I know people have been trying that for a long time, but
Bluff.
we really need to put energy into physical matter evidence.
Yeah, I've got a guy who lives local to me. I've met him, and he was actually mountaineering, and he actually took photographs.
All right, we only got to make 9 more minutes. I have to stop it before they play the music. So we'll go through the 9 more minutes, or I can mute it for that part after we're done. We're going to make it through. That's it. I want to hear more about these dog men.
That's the land between the lakes in between Kentucky and Tennessee, well known for the dogman phenomena and other Sasquatch and other cryptid phenomena. He says the dog prints were the
She used to be a well-respected journalist at one time. What the heck happened there? Yeah.
Photographs to you as well.
Well, I hear.
And I hope tonight, as we are coming to the end of this particular program, that all of you will take into your mind and your heart that you have to start on all of this, looking at Earth as a huge, gigantic hotel.
Every night.
We're the surface life at many different layers, in many deep caverns going down over 1,000 miles.
Mary Wilcock.
Are huge spaces. And as I understand that varieties of intelligence, like the tall whites, the Nordics, reptilians, a variety of grays, they have been actual occupiers deep beneath the basins of the oceans, inside of mountains, down deep below in our planet. And I don't find that to be scary at all. I find it to be fascinating because we are a surface life that is genetically was set in motion. The DNA was manipulated by outside intelligences who have been experimenting here for so long.
Werewolves.
I don't find that upsetting. I don't find that terrifying. We all should be trying to be dealing with truth, and that governments should stop classifying reality, and we should move on with a revolution to what the truth is. And the clearer that you see how our planet can be used in so many different layers and has been for so long, it then explains why on the surface we're not bumping into all of these beings at all. And in our system, inside of Jupiter's large Ganymede moon, it's my understanding that whole moon is a base of the tall whites. And none of this to me is frightening. It's fascinating.
Yeah, there's a base for the tall whites, aliens that were invented by a fraud, stolen valor, fake Air Force person in the form of Charles Hall. But they have a base on Ganymede. Listen, I have a really great telescope. If there was a base anywhere in the solar system, I should be able to see it. Nobody sees it, but hey, there's
to know and deserve to know the facts about other life in this universe. The hard part, and now I'm giving sympathy to the government and the military and intel.
Linda Moulton Howe,
I think that there really are hostiles.
Chucky.
I think the insects on Epsilon Eridani, referred to as tronoloids to President Ronald Reagan in the briefing given to him about various other life forms in March 6 to 8, 1981, that the insects were then, are now a problem. But if it is true that the tall whites are able to fend off pretty much any hostile that might be looking at us, and that they are spiritual, that they care about life, they care about their lives, why can't we be introduced to them and start moving forward, learning all of the truth with the sense that we have some sort of help? But the reason I bring all this up is it's all part of the complexity. If everything were rosy and peaches out in Milky Way galaxy, we would have been told about this long ago. But on Earth,
The
in
reason
our
there's
own planet, in our own species of Cro-Magnon Homo sapiens sapien,
there it is, Homo
what is
sapiens
happening on
sapien.
Earth right
She
now?
said it.
Bombs, missiles, wars, fights, just among Homo sapiens sapien.
She said it again.
Wouldn't
Homo
it be
sapiens
wonderful
sapien. Why does she add
if
the extra
we
sapien?
could
I never understood
turn
that.
collaboration that is now one
I don't think she
way,
is, no.
meaning the tall whites may be helping because they have a vested interest in us humans. Maybe they were part of the experimenters, but that they know how to go through point to point in the universe in Alcubierre warp drive. And they know how to handle the insects, and that they know so much. Not for us to be weakened in a relationship with geniuses, but for us to know solidly that there are geniuses who know how to protect. And therefore, we can go through a whole new revolution of being introduced to other intelligences and other life in this universe, and that the probability exists that there are even other universes, and that the whole macro reality is so astonishing.
It's so astonishing.
And we are on planet Earth that orbits our beautiful yellow sun, that in and of itself could be treacherous at times in terms of activity on the sun. We can't.
Yeah, I want to know how the universe works from a lady that sells Dogman stories.
Break away from knowing all of the truth. And that in knowing all of the truth as much as we can makes us stronger, and hopefully
Knowing all of the truth. All of her stories are based on lies and bullshit. And she's telling people about knowing the truth.
able eventually
She has no relationship with reality, this woman. She does
to
live
have
a delusional
the
fantasy.
ability
All this is real to her. All of this is completely and totally real.
to know that
Dogmen, the tall white aliens, the troglodyte aliens that somebody told Ronald Reagan about. That's a secondhand story from a fake document that showed up on the internet. You know, the tall white aliens, those are real. Oh, you mean the aliens that a completely and totally fake guy who was never in the Air Force talked about? Sure.
we have strong collaboration with beings that can help, not hurt. And that we humans that are hurting ourselves on this planet right now so badly, that we need to evolve so that our context doesn't keep going into hatred for each other. We need to get to a new intersection where humans embrace Homo sapien, knowing that we are only one of millions of life forms.
Oh, we're only one of millions.
A number
that
that
might agree
I
with,
don't
but
even know
we have
what to
find
name.
evidence of that.
Maybe that profound, simple knowledge would make it harder for humans to hate and kill each other on Earth, when I am convinced Homo sapien is a very, very special life form. And the part that we keep seeming to miss is that our souls are valued beyond anything that humans seem to understand.
Oh, the immortal soul pitch.
Wouldn't it be great if the whole planet, everything on it, was replacing war and bullets and nukes and missiles?
Yeah, and this is the thing. These new age philosophies, they appeal to people who are in pain. They appeal to vulnerable people. They appeal to lost people. And what you'll find is that the Griff Squad always pushes things like this. a better, bolder world that we can all live in peace, right? If only we get the free energy from the aliens or the anti-gravity technology from the aliens, then we can live in a better world. And people who are lost and vulnerable and looking for hope, she's giving it to them here.
With tremendous curiosity about other life in the universe. A lot of it high civilization.
I could think of a high civilization, her audience, if they
And
believe
that
any of this shit.
children would be encouraged into math and science to become astronauts, not just for the moon and not just for Mars, but for going beyond even this solar system. I want to do that.
Oh, we're going to make it through, friends.
I love you guys. Agape hug to everyone.
What the hell is an agape hug?
And we'll see you next week.
All right, we made it through. I have to mute it here so that we don't play the copyrighted music. Apparently she's concerned with her deaf Wackadoo viewers because she's got a message here. There's me and my cat. It's a lion cut from the summers beginning to fluff out. Her pussy's very fluffy. I'll give her that. I take a comb and I go through her hair and I go through the fluffies. And the most amazing thing is taking place. Maybe it's because they are growing up. I want to get a comb and comb my pussy. Is that what she's saying? Almost running. She wants to comb the pussy. The cat. Get your mind out of the gutter, everybody. She's combing the cat. Now, I don't know. Her producer's like changing the subtitles now to like French or something. All right. We made it through, friends. We made it through. We made it through the Wackadoo Wolfman stories. Great. So we'll take some comments and questions from the live chat. And then I'll be bouncing on out of here. I'm going to the cabin tomorrow. This will be the first not very fun weekend. Well, I don't generally have to. Well, no, I mean, I enjoy my time there, but it's a lot of work. So this weekend at the cabin, it's going to be 35 at night, maybe 40, 45 during the day. I have to get a couple of more trees down, and I have to process the rest of the firewood that we need for the winter. For those unaware, my cabin in the mountains is completely run by wood. We heat with wood. We cook with wood. Everything is wood. Even the kitchen stove runs on wood. We have a propane as well, but I don't like using that because propane costs money, and I am in the woods, and there's plenty of free firewood everywhere. Some assembly required. So I took down 2 standing dead trees, which were concerned for both myself and more majorly my wife, because my children play right on the side of the cabin, and these trees were very big and they were dead, which means they're going to come crashing down at some point. Best to take them down. So I took down 2. I have 3 more to go this weekend. That's my only goal this weekend, is to get rid of those standing dead trees. We're going to turn that hindrance into a net positive, because we'll get all the wood that we need for cooking all winter long. I have plenty of big firewood for the heater burner, but I don't have plenty of small firewood. The small firewood we use, I have to process it down very small for the wood cook stove so that we can cook our meals and heat up the kitchen. It's nice in there when you're cooking a meal and heating at the same time. I'm going to be doing that this weekend, leaving probably tomorrow sometime. So we've done our due diligence both for tonight and for the week. Any questions or comments for me, please put them in all capital letters. Chris Demarius says, Stephen, she is correct. The proper genus name for humans is Homo sapiens sapien. Okay, I didn't know that. I always heard people just say Homo sapiens. I never heard anybody but her say Homo sapiens sapien. Because the definition, let me look it up so I don't sound stupid. The definition of sapien is of or relating to recent humans, as distinguished from various fossil hominoids. So, yeah, I don't understand, because you'd be saying homo relating to homo relating to homo when you say Homo sapien sapien. But I could be wrong. I'm no anthropologist, so if I ever meet one, I'll ask them about that. Anna Louisa says, I admire your way of living, Stephen. Well, if it was in a perfect world, I could live that way 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I will be, we're moving. We may be thinking about moving at some point up to the area where the cabin is. But I'm sure my wife is going to want a bigger place. That cabin, it's plenty big, if you ask me. I mean, it's like 900 square feet. But it's more of a weekend cabin when you have 2 kids and a wife, and guests also come and stay with us. I would like to have sort of a more rural homestead. Where we're at now is very sort of suburban, which is nice. It's fine. It's a very nice neighborhood where we live. But I would rather live somewhere deep in the woods and be more self-sufficient, or be on like 10 or 20 or 100 or 300 acres with the house right in the middle, Steve Long asks, will you be streaming your work at the cabin? Well, I'm working on that new cabin channel. I kind of got a false start on that, Steve Long. I have a video that I have to make to explain the first cabin. And I have to finish that video before I can start the new cabin channel. I keep saying I'm going to do it. Last week I was going to do it, didn't do it. This week I was going to do it, didn't do it. I have to sort of get everybody up to speed and show all these pictures and explain the building of the first cabin. But I'll probably be filming taking the trees down, because that makes for good content. I have to put, it's called a come along. It's that big metal wire thing with the ratchet that you put a tight line on the tree. The tree is right near, the trees that have to come down is right near my firewood shed and the cabin. And so I have to put lines on them to make sure that they go, when they fall, they go the way I want them to. I'll probably film that. I have a whole bunch of cameras at the cabin that I was using over at the new land. And I have a bunch of stuff to do for that cabin channel, like product reviews and talking about different tools that I've used and things. So I'll probably be working on that this weekend as well, because it's going to be way too cold. I'm going to go outside and chop those trees down, chop them up, split them, and get that wood stove for the wood stove, for the wood cook stove. And that's it. That's my only goal. And on a good day, I should, even with having to tie all those trees up, I should be able to take them out in a few hours. So, Bobby Broadway says, my cabin, Steven's cabin looks like Santa Claus the movie. Dude was born for woodworking. Not really. I learned all of this stuff when I started building a cabin. I never built anything in my life, Bobby. Just slow and steady. Don't use a come along, get a chain block, more control. Well, I've already got a come along and I don't have a chain block or an electric winch. So I've used a come along all the time for trees. All you do is you just find a nearby tree and you just ratchet that thing and get it good and tight. And sometimes you just do the front cut and you don't even do the back cut, Storm Crow. You just go over there and ratchet it a few more times and it'll pull the tree down. And usually with the come along especially, the tree goes where you want it to go. It's a very good system. I've been doing it that way for years. That's the way that I learned how to do it. That's the way professional tree guys do it. I've seen pro tree guys do it that way. I'm not familiar with a chain block, but I'm going to look it up, right? Steve Long says, because everyone else knows when you say Homo sapien, you don't mean the ones from 200,000 years ago. You mean our current species. Linda Moulton Howe is extra, among other things. Luna Sparkle says, we cooked on our wood stove the other night, 5 different pots and pans. Yeah, I can cook. I'm going to cook Thanksgiving dinner on there just to make a video about it. But I'm going to cook like maybe a duck instead of a turkey, because I think I'll be sick of turkey. during Thanksgiving. We make a big one, you know. It's like saying German Shepherd dog, says Wise Monkey. Bulldog dog. The dog isn't needed. Yeah, she's the only person I've ever heard use the term Homo sapien sapien. Everybody else, they say Homo sapien. That's it. That's the way I learned in school. I don't really know. Yeah, my wood, lifting the wood, stacking, it is a lot of work. Well, my wood cook stove is smaller than most people's. Lunar Sparkles, most people that have a wood cook stove have that big, huge cast iron one that's like 2,000 pounds. Mine's a little one, and the firebox is only a little bigger than the size of a big shoebox. So the wood for that, we have to cut it like half the size of normal firewood. But I'm happy because we used to have to cut all the firewood that size. We had small wood burner in the living room too, but I got a bigger one that takes full size firewood. I love that thing. That's my favorite thing in the cabin now. Okay, we're getting an education on Homo sapiens sapien this evening. Davina TK says the reason that sapiens is repeated twice is there are two subspecies of Homo sapiens. Homo sapiens sapiens referring to modern humans, and Homo sapiens Neanderthals, which refers to Neanderthals. Okay, well then that makes sense. But most people just say Homo sapien or Neanderthal. That's my thing, right? Ours is a fireplace insert. Oh yeah, I have one of those as well. A fireplace by itself is worthless. They make no heat. But once we got the fireplace insert, we have a huge house here. And it heats the entire house if you light that wood stove and keep it cooking, right? Homo sapien is the evolution below us. Yeah, I agree with that statement, but we don't want to give them any airtime. Grew up around wood stoves. Yeah, I learned them when I got to the cabin, and I got lucky. I have a neighbor and friend who grew up around them, and he knows how to put them in. And by the way, I just cleaned my chimneys. That was a dirty job nobody likes to do, but you got to sweep those chimneys out every year. And by chimney, I mean we have, like, you know, it's metal wood stove piping, but every year you got to get in there and sweep those things out so that the fireplace runs well all winter. Yeah, Randy says with the fireplace, all the heat goes up the chimney. Yeah, I agree with you. I was very disappointed. My whole life, I always wanted a fireplace, a home with a fireplace. We finally got a fireplace with this home. And boy, that first winter, I was like, oh, this is going to be awesome. We have this fireplace. We'll keep the fireplace roaring. It'll heat up the house. It barely heated up the room that the fireplace was in. Barely, you know. A Rumford fireplace puts more heat out in their room. Yeah, and there's things you could do, like a fireplace reclaimer. Most people just use a wood stove insert, though, which is that big, heavy metal. Mine's like 800 pounds. It's this big, heavy metal box that goes inside the fireplace and has glass front doors. Then it'll heat my entire house. And we have some pretty frequent power failures here at my home. It's nice to have that because especially if you have children, you know, if you're just not going to have power for 3 days, that means you're not going to have heat for 3 days. And I certainly don't want my young boys cold. So when we have that power failure happen, the first thing I do is I light the wood stove and get the house heated up. And then we can also cook on that while there's no power because all of our appliances are electric. Use a water heater. On grid, I use a traditional system, but cabins out there, you could set up a decent system cheap. Yeah, I have looked into those. I know somebody that has one, and he's talking about, friends, there's a wood burner that goes on the outside of the cabin, and it just boils water, and then the water gets piped into, I guess, radiators inside the cabin or inside the structure. I like the wood stove. I like the fire right there in the living room next to me. It's my favorite place to be. Blank one is sitting right by that wood stove. My husband does that too when the power goes out. Yeah, first thing you do. And you can still cook. You can stay warm. Usually when there's power failure, I go right in the same room where the fireplace is, I have a whole shelf, a whole wall of books. So that's my time to read. Power failure. What else are you going to do? Simon Fly, I prefer the heat apart from the Sultanate of Oman, which is ridiculously hot. Never been anywhere else as hot. That's pretty interesting. All right, so we've done our due diligence, not just for tonight, but also for the week. I'm going to be back live this coming Monday. But remember, we have decided that we're going to try being here every night at 9 p.m. But this weekend, we have 3 best of episodes, which I hope you'll go and check out. And here I'll share my screen just so you can see. And I said I'm always a dollar short and a day late. So I meant to put these episodes last week, but I just didn't think of, Halloween's coming up. Well, we had one that was sort of Halloween-y with ghost hunter Rachel Hoffman of Paranormal Expeditions. But this week we have more Halloween sort of themed 3 shows, classics of our show here. The Dybbuk Box, a 3-part deep dive into the demon box from hell. This is very long. This is 3 or 4 hours long. So if you guys that like those deep dives, this covers everything about the Dybbuk Box. The Dybbuk Box, if you haven't heard of it, is an allegedly haunted box. It's now in the possession of Zach Baggins, who, of course, is selling access. You get to see it in a museum in Las Vegas. So Friday night, the deep dive into the Dybbuk Box. Saturday night, the deep dive into black-eyed children. Are they demons, aliens, urban myth, or real phenomenon? And then on Sunday night, one of my favorite episodes, did a lot of research for this one. This one's on demons, demonology, and exorcism. And this one is good because it sort of separates fact from fiction about demons, demonology, and exorcism. And yes, I grew up Catholic, and I do believe that demonic possession is a real thing. I think that you have to be extremely, extremely careful when declaring someone possessed, and the Catholic Church really is. Simon Fly, I don't even remember. I'm gonna have to look for it for you. I'll try to send that to you. And by the way, we miss Simon Fly's videos here, but Simon doesn't want us broadcasting his work on pill.net for whatever reason, even though all the people on pill.net are also on Rumble. It is what it is. I miss that too. But we're trying to expand the show, so new platforms is how we are doing that, and we're going to keep going over there. But we'll see what happens with that in the future. So we've done our due diligence. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us. I want to thank each and every one of you for behaving in the live chat. We still don't have chat room moderators. I don't know when we will again. Maybe I'll deal with that situation next week. But everybody, nothing terrible happened in the live chat since there's no moderators, even though it's the Wild West in there. Hopefully, things stay civil, because I can't run the show and moderate the chat at the same time. But we had all these problems with the mods and I called it mod wars, right? We'll revisit that situation next week and maybe add a few back. They're still around. I'll look into that. So we want to thank you, kind and generous benefactors, all you Patreon supporters, and you YouTube channel members, you super chatters, PayPal pledgers, Twitch subscribers. We thank all of you for your kindness, generosity, and support. And by the way, I still haven't uploaded. I recorded it, but I have to upload the video to Patreon and members for the October 2023 show journal. Normally, I upload that on the last day of the month. It's been a hell of a week, but I will get that to you, kind and generous Patreon supporters and YouTube channel members, as soon as possible. So we thank all of you for your kindness, generosity, and support. And we thank all of you, YouTube chat room participants, Twitch chatters, Rumble chatters, pill.net watchers and chatters, and more. Those watching on the Twitter feed or the Facebook feed, thanks for being here. So I'll be back Monday night live, but in the meantime, you'll have a pre-recorded version of me, 3 of them. Let me know how you guys like those 3 spooky episodes. We'll try to be a little more timely with the Halloween-themed episodes next time. So that's all I got for you, friends. Until next time, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you.